or ethics, not necessarily social ethics. Ethics is a discipline that deals with the good or the bad, the right or the wrong that we experience in society. It mostly concerns obligations or duties that people have one to another in their daily interactions. And normally it concerns how people or how people's decisions affect the other people's lives, rights, or duties. And that is an important aspect in management. And it requires our management to respond or to be interactive as far as that issue is concerned. Now, there are levels of ethics that we need to look at. And these levels are as follows. We have social level. This is mostly based on institutions and societies. Yeah. There is ethics from the perspective of society, that all those issues that affect societies at large. And in many cases, any company will have a duty to respond or to perform ethical conduct towards society. So you talk about the environment where a business operates in, and some of the obligations that they have towards that society's welfare. Second level is called stakeholders level. Our stakeholders are all those individuals that have a part to play as far as the organization is concerned. And they include employees, they include suppliers, customers, and shareholders. They have a responsibility to and also businesses do have a responsibility towards them. Now, these are a way in which ethical behavior may be directed towards all these individuals so that the company does what is right, what is morally right towards these particular groups of people. Later on, we look at those obligations when we look at corporate social responsibility. Internal policy level, we talk about company in relation to management and employees. Now, those are issues that pertains to individuals or to individual employee and management. This is just internal issues that affect business. Internal issues that affect business. They relate to internal issues that affect business, and this how management relate to the employees, while personal level is how employees treat one another, how management treats one another, how bosses and subordinates relate with one another. So those are levels of ethics from societal to personal, and they are very important to look at. So those are some of the things that you will encounter when you get into the industry, for example. Now, we have business ethics. Business ethics, on the other hand, are application of ethical principles to business relationships and activities. Now, how do you conduct business? How are your business roles, responsibilities supposed to be done? So the key areas of business ethics that we're going to look at are relationship of the firm to the employees. Businesses are expected to relate with their employees in a particular way, in a way that is considered morally good or right. And it pertains to how employees are treated, pertains to giving them fair wages or compensating them according to what they contribute to the firm, providing proper working conditions, and generally treating your employees fairly. Another key area of business ethics is relationship of employees to the firm. What are the obligation or requirements, moral practices that employees, or ethical practices that employees are supposed to perform to their employers, for example. We can say that employees are supposed to are supposed to balance between their own objectives and the organization's objectives. They need to be loyal to the company and not place their loyalties elsewhere. And anytime a business or a company or employer notices that employees are no longer loyal to them, then it's time to part ways. There are issues that are moral in nature or are ethical in nature. For example, accepting incentives from suppliers. Like, let's say you choose or you decide to buy goods from a particular supplier because they gave a kickback or they are giving you something on the side. Now, is it ethical to get that incentive so that you accept business from a specific company to supply goods? There are cases of moonlighting. Moonlighting is where there are favors that are beyond call of duty. For example, you find that maybe ladies or maybe men, they get favors from places that sometimes can be called that may be considered to be ethically or maybe morally not right, like sexual favors and what have you, so that the business can be received. Like, for example, secrecy or espionage. Espionage is where an employee, for example, acts for another company by getting the company's secrets and selling them to a rival or a competing firm. Things to do with honesty, especially in items, for example, in stationery, pens and papers, and calling time or internet and what have you. All those tiny things are very important. So employees are expected to conduct themselves in ethical manner by handling these issues appropriately. Another business ethical area is a firm relationship with the environment. That is, how do firms relate with the environment? That is, with the society where they are, with their customers, with competitors, with stakeholders, with dealers, and the community at large. In corporate social responsibilities, we are going to look at a firm's responsibility towards all these groups. Another key area we want to look at is known as ethical tools. Ethical tools are those tools that can be used to ensure people behave in an ethical way. Now, the first important tool is known as the ethical language. How do we speak one to another? That is very important. How do we speak? What kind of language do we use when addressing one another, when addressing your seniors, when interacting with the community, what kind of language. So the key issue that is important here are values, rights, duties, and rules as far as ethical language is concerned. One, values are those permanent desires that seem to be good in themselves. For example, maintaining peace and maintaining respect to your colleagues or people around you. It's very important to ensure that such values are upheld as far as a duty to society or to other people. When it comes to rights and duties, rights are claims a person may have something. For example, entitlement. What are the rights as, for example, as an employee, what are their rights? As an employer, what are the rights of the employers? A duty is an obligation to take specific steps. For example, companies have a duty to pay tax. So those are important aspects that must be considered. And moral rules, for example, relate to guidance, or it guides the organization through specific situation that it might get into. For example, if they have to make decisions as far as competing interests are concerned. That is the first key ethical tool. The second is common morality. Common morality, we can say they are a body of rules covering ordinary ethical problems. For example, rules that guide how life is run. For example, how people live their lives, on a daily basis or day-by-day basis. For example, promise keeping. For example, you say you promise to do one thing and then you do another thing. So it is a requirement that once you make a promise, fulfill that promise. And then there's a non-malevolence. That is what is not having to wish to do an evil thing or do something that is bad to another, for example. Planning evil or planning bad things, hurtful thing to do to people. So it is a duty for anyone not to plan or to wish to do a bad thing to another person. Then mutual aid is where people assist one another. It's a requirement that you assist me, I assist you. So we work together for the benefit of everyone. That is an important duty. Then also respect for persons, respecting one another in their capacity, notwithstanding at what level they are in organization. Each and every person has got a right for to be respected as a person. Then, of course, respect for property. Very important. This is also a common thing, a common morality issue that need to be taken into consideration, that you take care of the property that are around you, that property that you use. So any time you are allocated a resource, then you take good care of it. Now, in examining those common ethical issues or morality, there are questions that needs to be asked or decisions that need to be reached. For example, organization need to, for example, define a problem in the most accurate way so that they can deal with it effectively. So these are ethical questions that need to be asked. For example, how do we define a problem? How did the situation arise in the first place? How do you handle such issue? Where is the loyalty of individual members or employees? What are the intentions of making particular decisions? How could a decision be beneficial or harmful? So all those things need to be taken into consideration. So all these questions you can be able to, I'll attach them for you to be able to take a look at them. Now let's look at social responsibility. Social responsibility. Before we look at social responsibility and management, just want to put a question for you. You can take this question. Here is a question. Why is businesses required to conduct themselves ethically? Why are businesses expected to conduct themselves ethically? What I'm asking is, what are the importance of business ethics? Why are businesses expected to conduct themselves ethically? We'll come back to that as you chew on it, and later on we will come to it to find out what your contribution are as far as that question is concerned. Why are businesses expected to conduct themselves ethically? Or to summarize it, what are the importance of business ethics? Good. Now, social responsibility. Social responsibility. Social responsibility, you can say that is the responsibility of the business towards certain group of individuals. For example, how are businesses responsible to specific groups of individuals? And we find that this responsibility is related to the interest of stakeholders. Interest of stakeholders are those people who have got a stake in a company. Is the business putting the interest of stakeholders before the society or before the environment? Or secondly, should the company be responsible for the social consequences of its operations? For example, how does the company's product affect people's individual lives, for example? Cars produced or equipment that are released into the market, are they harmful in one way or another? So that is an issue of social responsibility. Another thing is that, does the company owe its employees, suppliers, customers, and other stakeholders? What is the duty of the company to employees? What is the duty of the company to suppliers, to customers, among others? And then fourthly, does a company contribute to the welfare of the society? Does the company contribute to the welfare of the society? Yes, that, like, for example, paying fees, taking part in environmental cleanup and such like things. So those are important questions. Those are important issues that need to be considered, and as far as social responsibility is concerned. And then we have corporate social responsibility. So now we want to try to merge or answer those questions by looking at what firms today are engaged in what is called the corporate social responsibility. Corporate social responsibility. Now, of course, very important, just as we had looked at as far as ethics was concerned, even corporate social responsibility is important because it's built or it's based on the ethics, what is right or what is wrong. That is how the CSR, corporate social responsibility, is built around. So we look at it from the perspective that is it right to do this? Is it wrong to do that? It also refers to the moral, what is moral or what is ethical. And also it requires the company to respond socially or to be socially responsive towards the society, towards the community that they are in. And of course, look at the issues that arise in the social environment which the company operates in. Those are key issues that every organization must take a look at. Today, if you go to any website of most blue chip companies, these companies that are well established, for example, you'll find that they have a CSR or corporate social responsibility department that handle a relation with or relations with society, for example. Like, for example, Safaricom, there are activities that they have done, there are foundations that they have established, and these foundations do certain activities which are considered socially responsible. The key thing is that businesses need to constantly interact with society so that they can deliver their ideas, they can respond to society's needs. And such a group that businesses interact with are, for example, employees, distributors, consumers, banks, suppliers, competitors. These are very important groups. Then, of course, they need to look at the issues that affect these people, these groups of people. What are those issues that affect them? Like when Equity Bank decides to give scholarships to students, bright needy students, it is an issue that is in society, education. And that is very, very important. So they chip in, they come in, and they pay out for it. Now, what is corporate social responsibility for? What is corporate social responsibility? What is it for? Why is the fuss about corporate social responsibility? Must every organization engage in it? Now, a conventional thoughts or school of thought, we see that management are professional responsible to the board of directors, that any organization has got a management, and this management is appointed by board of directors. So their professional obligation is to perform their duty well and report to the board of directors. While the board of directors of any company, any large firm, for example, is to deliver the mandate given by them by the shareholders, for example. And now the shareholders, on the other hand, have invested their capital. They have placed their money in that business and they expect a return on investment. Just like recently when Safaricom declared their last year's profits, at the same breath, they also declared dividend to shareholders. And that is, anyone who is a shareholder in any firm expect that after business operations, a profit needs to be made. If any business operates and makes losses, the shareholders become worried. Therefore, management, board of directors, they are responsible for shareholders. Now, there's one thing that is interesting. Shareholders do not engage in daily running of the business. So in other words, ownership and control of shareholding is detached from management and running of the organization. That is very important. Then, of course, therefore, Management, therefore, have got a responsibility to fulfill their mandate so that the shareholders receive adequate return on their investment. That is very important. Now, that is the conventional view. Now, a modern view as far as corporate social responsibility is concerned is that corporations should be accountable to employees, customers, suppliers, to the states and other stakeholders, that as much as they make profit for the shareholders, they also must be accountable to employees by giving clean working environment, compensating employees well, ensuring that employees grow in their career, to customers by supplying quality products that are not harmful. So we look at those key responsibilities later on, but the modern view expects that. Now, also we find that there are external forces that are important here, because any organization gets resources from the environment around them. For example, a company that produces yogurt, for example, they must be able to get milk from farmers, for example. And therefore, their connection to the society, to the environment is very key. They need to get water from some sources somewhere. And this water, for example, is required by other users, for example. So all this connection to society is something that is there. So therefore, there must be a responsibility towards society from which organization receives their resources from. Are we together? Are we together? Yeah, I hope we are together. And lastly, CSR is relates to what is considered moral and ethical as far as society is concerned. Now, before we get down there are those who argue for and those who argue against social responsibility. What do you think? Is social responsibility a good thing and should be practiced by every organization? Or is social responsibility a bad thing that should not even be thought of as far as organization relation with its environment is concerned? Now, I want opinion from you. Let's hear your contributions. Let me hear your contribution. Alice, tell us, what do you think? Are you for social responsibility or not? Yes. Yes, are you for social responsibility or you are not?
I'm for it.
Can you tell us one reason why it is good?
Okay. Social responsibility is good to the environment, since most of the companies that engage in this become a help to most people, because like most companies that help in payment of school fees for the students is a benefit.
Yeah, that's a good contribution, right? Right. Yes, let me hear from Jensera. Tell us, what do you think? Are you arguing for social responsibility or you are arguing against? And what are your reasons? Jensera, did you hear me? Yes. Yes. What did you hear the question? Are you arguing for or against? Let's. If you can't put your volume up, then you can write here. I want those who are saying for and those who are saying against, and then you can put your reasons there, or you can be able to unmute and contribute. Argument for or against corporate social responsibility. Caroline. Caroline, are you there? Yes, what is your argument? Is it for or against? Against, good, very good. Tell us why. Why are you against corporate social responsibility? Should a farm engage? Yes.
I'm against the social responsibility because sometimes I feel the company doesn't do good enough. Okay, let me give up. Let's say they have a project in river, maybe cleaning the river. They'll come, and clean it, but at the end of the day, they won't maybe do a good job because they'll end up, maybe the garbages they'll just draw in another place. Let me just say they go for starters just to be seen that this company is doing something, but instead they're not doing it for the welfare of the community.
It's for publicity.
Yeah, for publicity.
Yeah, that's a good. Yeah. Let's hear from Michael. Michael Ngay. What do you think? Michael?
Ya mwalimu ndo nimeingia saa hii yake.
What is the argument against or for corporate social responsibility? Should firms engage in it or should firms avoid it?
Mwalimu saa hii ndo nimeingia, ngoja kidogo.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Ruth, welcome back, Ruth. Yes, Ruth. Ruth, let's hear your argument. Ruth is not with us. She's here, I can see her. What do you think? Ruth seems to have put on their presence, but they are not here. Jennifer, what do you think? What's your argument? Against or for? Against or for? Jennifer, you are against corporate responsibility or you are for it? And why? Good. So I think we'll participate elsewhere. We will participate elsewhere. Did I lose the? I think we'll participate elsewhere. So let's look at some of the. Yes, Jennifer, you are for it. And did you give us a reason? Did you put your reason there? But anyway, we can say that corporate responsibility has got both positive views and negative views. There are some of the positive views which states that like individuals, corporations are citizens and they should contribute to society's good. Companies are artificial persons and they derive their development, their resources from society. Therefore, they need to give back to society. Like they get resources from there, they get employees from there, they compete with the resources that any organization, anybody wants. Therefore, they must give back. We also talk about businesses creating problems and they should solve those problems. For example, if they pollute the environment through emissions, through effluent, for example, and such things, then they need to clean it up. Organizations also have enough resources. They are well endowed, they are quite rich. Therefore, at least they should chip in. That is the argument here. They should chip in. They have so much money, they need to be able to, they make so much profit. Like just recently, Safaricom made, I think, over 70 billion in profits. Where did they get the profit from? From Kenya. So therefore, they need to at least do something as a way of giving back to society. Then, of course, businesses should be partners with societies in helping that society to develop. The resources they obtain from society, they need to give back. Like let's say, for example, a business competes with water resources from a river. Let's say, for example, people need that river to do their things in life, but then a business come over and take that water away from. So you find that they need to be able to give back. And then there is a final benefit. When a business engage in social responsibility, they get that goodwill. They get that goodwill from society, and that allows them to make more sales, make more money. So in the final run, the goodwill created tends to be beneficial in the long run, even though they spend on CSR activities or social responsibility activities. Arguments against social responsibilities. Arguments against social responsibilities. One include companies may see it as an expense, that it is an expense. Therefore, companies should not engage in it because they are responsible for making profits to the shareholders. So one argument is that it decreases the profits of the company. If you made, like, let's say 10 million in profits and then you take 1 million to do CSR activities, then that profit is reduced. Social responsibility also gives corporation too much power. For example, they feel that they hold society in their hands. Like let's say for example, they supply medicine to hospitals. It gives them so much power that they can threaten to withdraw the support that they give to hospitals, for example. Like Microsoft, has for many years been known to offer supplies, for example, to WHO, to many countries to fight HIV pandemic, to fight various diseases like polio, or for polio eradication, and to make certain vaccines. So if they feel that they don't want to do that, they can threaten to withdraw that support, and that gives them a lot of power. Then corporations may not be accountable for the result of their actions. Sometimes they can't give an account. Many a times they they don't give an account. Like, for example, those who go there for publicity purposes, for example, they do something just to show everyone that they are contributing. Like sometimes you see adverts of companies trying to show that they are socially responsible, but it's just a smoke screen. They just want something to get a mileage or to get a goodwill from the society. Like there's this betting farm. Is it a betting farm or Lotto? Yeah, I think Lotto. They make millions, but then they go give a few pampers to some women. We are not sure whether it's true that they give out those things, but they kind of publicize it, so that's the way of and attracting more business to such kind of issues. Then again, they also lack expertise on handling social issues. They argue that they don't have the necessary skills to handle social issues, and that can make them not do such kind of work very well. Then, of course, sometimes the amount of money set aside for social responsibility may be misused. You find that those who are responsible to handle those issues are actually siphon or embezzle those funds. So what was intended to help society does not necessarily help the society. There are just a few people who benefit from such funds. So those are the kind of things that normally may affect the business. Now, there are areas of social responsibilities that businesses need to engage in. The first one is known as business giving, or business giving is whereby a business may donate goods or funds to a particular group. For example, by giving gifts or donation, or giving artistic support or supporting certain cause in society, like sports and culture and such like. So you find that is one area. Another key area of business responsibility is ecological and environmental quality, like offering cleanup, pollution control, aesthetic improvement. This is environmental, that is like constructing gardens and what have you, and doing recycling. There is consumerism. In consumerism, we talk of ensuring that the goods that are the goods produced are not harmful. There's also what is called truth in advertising. Truth in advertising, response to consumer complaints, and quality control, and such like. So you find that they have a responsibility in that particular area. Another area where they have a responsibility is community needs, like trying to reduce poverty, health improvement and education, provision of social amenities. That's another area where CSR can be conducted. Another important area is government relation. For example, restriction on lobbying, whereby companies, instead of trying to lobby hard to have legislation that supports their cause, they ensure that they restrict such kind of lobbying. Then control of business in politics, business political action, for example, where businesses enter into politics and try to manipulate a political outcome because of their financial muscle. And tax remittances, very important because they are expected to pay tax. Then also responsibility towards minorities and disadvantaged persons, like provision of vocational training, equal employment rights program for alcoholics and drug addicts, employment of physically handicapped persons, talk about start of industries in marginal areas, equal pay for equal work, promotions on merit. So those are important areas of responsibility. Labor relations, that is improvement of safety at work, expansions of employees' rights, participation in companies' affairs, and care for employees' families. Those are key areas that are important as far as this is concerned. Are you seeing my page well? I think my page has